the biggest lettuce grower here was a Jewish guy named George Russ, and he started the lettuce deal in Center, Colorado, and he wanted a cooler. And he asked me to build one, and he said, of course, you'll have to work for me year-round. And I said, well, I'm not interested in a year-round job. But he was smarter than me. I said, I got a farm. Oh, that farm's nothing. I said, well, not to you, but it is to me. So anyway, he offered me a job at $125 a week, plus a 30% interest in the cooler if I'd build it. And he says, what's this plant going to cost? And I said, it's going to cost you $100,000. He says, what would it cost if I had it built? I said, it'd cost you $200,000. He says, is that right? I said, there's only 2 engineering firms that build them, and they're both in California. And if you doubt my word, call them up. And I told him who they were. So the bank had a deal here, a $30,000 limit. So the bank took George to Denver. They had a participating bank up there. And George, he knew money pretty well. They said, well, what's a plant like this? How much money do you want? Old George said, well, a plant like this usually costs you a couple of $100,000, but I can get by with $100,000. And they loaned him the money. He inferred that it was going to cost $200,000. He just didn't, he didn't lie to him, but anyway, that's how he got the money. And I didn't tell then he came back and he said, Gallagher's going to own a 30% interest in it because he's my engineer. So so they put my name on the paper for $100,000, and I signed it, and I wasn't about to tell my wife because we didn't have any money, and she'd have had a fit. Anyway, in 15 months, he planted 2,000 acres of lettuce the next year. In 15 months, that plant paid for itself. We started, and that kind of helped me pay. Well, it did. It paid off the farm, and he was real good about money. I used to get mad at him, but never about money. He came up from Arizona one year, and he kind of had me in charge. Oh, he was smarter than me about money when he told me that he was going to pay me $125 a month. And I told him I wasn't going to work full time. He said, Bill, the first month he paid me $150. Then he said, Bill, would you mind doing this? Would you mind? And what could I say? He was just smarter than I was. He had me on the hook.
You commuted all the way from the farm up there.
Yeah, I used to drive
dirt roads.
30 miles back and forth on a dirt road, and in the wintertime, those roads, I didn't know if I was going to get through. And they're all paved now, but they weren't then. I used to get mad at Russ, but never about money. My dad told me, I hate to see you get mixed up with a Jew. I said, why, Pop? He says, if you ever let it get the upper hand, they'll crucify you. And so old George would get loud with me, and I'd get loud right back, and he'd say, let's both be quiet. Trouble with you and I are we're both too much the same. So I got along with him, but and I never got, he did everything he said he'd do, and money-wise, I got along with him fine.
And he grew a lot of lettuce.
Well, we had 2,000 acres of lettuce one year. Can you imagine getting the weeds out of that? That's when that was the last year of the Bracero program, and that's when the government had a reception center in El Paso. We sent school buses down there. He had to qualify, and we brought about 400 of those Braceros up here, and we thinned with them, then we harvested with them, and when the season was over, we hauled them back to the El Paso, and they went home and had enough money to last all winter. And why we don't do that now, I don't know. It worked, but anyway, that's not what we're doing.